In today's news, the Elmer Stout High School redevelopment project is to continue. The Diabetes Association seeks funds for a new device. TODMAN celebrates 35 years of service. Friends of Rotary speaks to 284. And the Joes Hill development is 98% complete. All these and more when 284 returns.
Yo, everything good, Dad?
Aye. This thing got me one way, Daddy.
What do you mean?
Ever since I hook up with this thing, I can't eat, I can't sleep. This is the first thing I touch it when I reach home.
What you really? Hey, this ain't like you,
Dad, this thing got me staying home, keeping out of trouble me.
Wow. What your name is?
Shit, I talking about my CCT life.
Don't worry about missing your favorite series, sports, news, and local programming. Come to CCT today and sign up for CCT Live to access over 80 channels. CCT Live. Bring it home.
1 month free trial turn into 5. 5 months turn into, well, you know I huff. I watching ball. I been watching football. Dad, Nickelodeon, Paw Patrol. I am hooked. Hook, I tell you.
Welcome viewers, I'm Nia Douglas coming to you live from the beautiful British Virgin Islands. It's Thursday, May 19th, and I'd like to thank you for tuning in to 284 News tonight. Starting off today's news, Premier Dr. the Honorable Natalia Wheatley has given the assurance to residents that the Elmer Stout High School redevelopment project will not be one of the projects put on hold as part of the Commission of Inquiry COI report recommendations. Premier Wheatley made this comment during following questions, posed by the media on the subject.
It's my intention for that project to continue. Of course, we're speaking about good governance, but for me it's not good governance to have your children in inadequate conditions. So, as I said, our schools have to continue to function, our hospitals have to continue to function. We can't let all of these things basically fall by the wayside because we're implementing the recommendations of the report. I don't think that's what the governor or the United Kingdom or Minister Millen would want us to do. So we're going to continue with the development of the high school. We're ensuring that we have all the funds necessary right now in terms of looking at the projects that can continue and some of the projects which will have to stop to ensure that essential national projects like the Elmer Stout project will be able to continue.
The comment follows recommendation B18 from the COI report, where Commissioner Sir Gary Hickenbottom called for a full audit on all major contracts over $100,000 within the last 3 years. 4 contracts totaling in excess of $11.4 million were signed in March for the construction of 4 new buildings, which are a part of the redevelopment project for the Elmer Stout High School campus. According to former Premier Andrew Foy, the plan is to have the project completed to have students seated and learning in the new buildings by September of 2022. In other news, the BVI Diabetes Association is spearheading a very important initiative to provide a cutting-edge glucose monitoring device to individuals with diabetes. Today, I sat down with the president of the BVI Diabetes Association, Dr. Charlene Lewis, as well as the Leslie family, whose 2-year-old son uses the device every day. Take a look.
What we're talking about today are continuous glucose monitors. That is a device that we are able to, well, it's not new on the market. It's been around for at least 10 years. And what it is, it's a way for diabetic persons to be able to monitor their blood sugars. It works differently from your traditional finger prick sort of checks because it's a device that is attached to the person's skin by a very fine needle that is able to continuously monitor the person's blood sugar. So rather than having to prick your finger, all you're going to have to do is actually just take either a monitor, or you can download an app on your phone and you can actually just swipe the sensor, and that is going to give you a very accurate reading of your blood sugars. This is important for diabetics because they need to know what their blood sugars are to help them make, certain decisions. We are piloting this project for our type 1 diabetic, especially our type 1 diabetic children, because, as you can see here, we have one of our type 1 diabetic children who is very restless right now, as kids can be. So rather than having to stick his finger, several times a day trying to get his blood sugar readings so that we could know how to give him his insulin or what he's supposed to eat, we can actually just use his monitor to be able to check his blood sugar so that we know where he is and we can monitor him and we can actually manage him accordingly.
Okay, so Mr. and Mrs. Leslie, why don't you tell us about Cade and his experience getting the device and what it's been like living every day with it?
Okay. In 2018, Cade was diagnosed as a diabetic at the age of 1 year, 1 month. It was a very difficult experience for us. We had sleepless nights, have to get up and be pricking his finger. And then we got introduced by the CGM monitors. And from there on, we began to have his glucose monitor better.
So rather than having to get the finger, because you can see with a kid it's very difficult. If you could just show them the sensor on his arm.
Okay, this is the...
So that's how it looks. It's just this little round device. So there's a little needle that goes in through the skin, and this needle actually continuously just monitors his blood sugar. And mom has his monitor, so that's his sensor. Mom has his monitor, and rather than having to prick him, she just swipes it. And with Bluetooth technology, it's able to give her what the blood glucose reading is.
So tell me a bit about, everyday life. How is bathing, getting ready for school, going to the beach? Is he able to do all those things easily with the device?
Yes, he can.
Has there been any problems, any inconveniences caused, or does it irritate him, or he's been happy with it?
He's been happy with it. It doesn't irritate him. It's just a stamp, like you just stamp it on your hand, and that's it.
And so the good thing is that it's so easy to use. Like the teachers in his preschool and everything, they know how to use the monitor just to be able to just swipe it across the device, rather than having to go and set up, like I said, to do finger pricks. Because one of the things with type 1 diabetic children, especially when they're using insulin, you don't want their blood sugars to drop too low, because that can actually lead to very detrimental effects, seizures, and even death in our young diabetic children. So it's a really easy way for us to have that kind of safety measure, and for so easy that other people can be easily trained to do it, for us to have that kind of security with him being able to live his normal life.
Dr. Lewis also emphasized the importance of getting funding so all diabetic children can be able to have access to the device.
The monitors, as it is right now, is at a cost of about $100 per sensor. So for every child that we're able to, give these things to, it does add up. And we're hoping that because when it becomes more popular and we're able to really see how we can integrate this into diabetes management for the entire community, that it will be, because we'll be able to buy in more bulk, it will bring down the cost of it to make it more affordable for all diabetics. So those who are interested, we do definitely need some sponsors to be able to supply them. We're also working on a registry, because one of the things, we need to know how many diabetics we actually have and how many people we need to be able to serve. So anybody who's interested in giving us that technical assistance, we've had very generous donations from Rotary Club especially, and from a private citizen of some iPads for us to be able to start keeping our information in electronic form. But we're always looking for assistance. We're looking for assistance with these projects. We're looking for assistance with doing the registry. We're always out doing screening and various activities in the community. We always need volunteers. So if you feel like you want to get involved, you want to battle this chronic disease in our community that's really just prematurely taking so many lives, please contact us at the Diabetes Association office and get involved. We need you.
To view the full interview, you can check out the 284 Media Facebook page. Up next, Ron Grant has an exciting interview with a father-daughter duo and their journey together in the field of construction. This story and more when we return.
The beautiful Virgin Islands, or nature's little secret as some prefer, where the weather stays warm and the drinks stay cold, where men in wigs get their lawyer bills paid by governments and governments lose planes, where walls are built and prisoners escape. You vacation where we suffer. BVI Love.
you value traditions.
Today,
You value music. You value education. Family.
I love you.
Service.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Love. Life. At Popular, we're committed to you and everything our community values. For the things you value the most, count on us. Popular.
Welcome back, viewers. James Todman Construction has been serving the Virgin Islands public for some 35 years in the construction field. Recently, our Ron Grant sat down with Mr. Jamesy Todman himself, and his daughter Janelle Todman to speak about the journey.
Good afternoon once again. I'm James Todman for James Todman Construction, celebrating 35 years in the construction business. In 1976, I came out of school. I didn't reach to high school, and I went out and learned a trade with my uncle. And learning a trade, I continued into it, get to love it, and in 1987 is when I actually started the construction company, James Todman Construction. But I didn't did well in the, I didn't graduate to go to the high school. So at that time, a trade is important, which up to today, a trade is important. It depends on which trade you want.
I agree.
But a trade is important.
So when we put 35 years into perspective, Jamesy, tell us, what has it been like?
There was challenges and there's a lot of success. As for today, most people see the success. The areas where you had challenges, you know, some people may see it, some people may know about it, but most of the time it's your family who actually knows where your challenges are.
Janelle Todman spoke about the relationship and what it's been like working alongside her father.
well, working with my dad, one thing that I learned is never give up. As hard as it gets, don't ever give up, because no matter how hard his day is, when he comes home, he never shows me that side. We talk about it, we talk about what we can do, how we can fix it, and we move on. But that's something like, you know, when everybody see James Todman, like, you know, he's always smiling, he's always giving motivation and stuff. But when he comes at home, it's just like, I'm living with him, so
Yes.
I know. And to see him keep pushing based on the challenges that he goes through, that's one thing you have to remember. Don't ever give up. And that's something that from small, like, I will never give up.
Awesome. Jamesy, you're responsible for a number of projects. We see some beautiful buildings across the territory, and I don't even want to get into the names, but which of the many projects you have worked on over the years are you most proud of? Do you have a favorite project?
I did a lot of projects, but I have to give you one of the first contract that I did, and I'll give you a little history on it.
Sure.
You know, being young, the fire station here in Rotown, that was my first contract with the government. I remember the day when I was sitting there. We were supposed to sign a contract in the morning, and I was sitting in the front room. At that time, the government was down where the post office is. And I was sitting there waiting. The media was there. I remember one guy said, well, what's the hold up? And let his soul rest in peace, Mr. Stanley Garden, which was the PS for the chief minister at that time, said, well, you know, we here waiting on the contractor and he have us hold up. And I was there sitting for more than a half an hour.
Wow.
But I guess they was looking for James Todman with a height. But it was me. And I said to them, I'm the contractor, and you here sitting all the time and didn't say anything? I said, you all didn't ask. But that was a little joke in that job. And I did that job. It was done by the UK. The CDB did that project. I get it done. I get it done on time and within budget. And there's many people I would like to say thanks to. Some are not here, but there are many people I could say thanks to, because that was my first chance. And I repeat it up to today. You only know what young people can do if they have the opportunity to. I maintain that.
James TODMAN also spoke to changes over the years in technology that have made the job easier.
Yes, many. A very good friend of mine, Romney Penn, I always have to give him thanks. You know, he was the first to introduce me to going to these construction shows.
Okay.
And, you know, going to the construction shows, I developed a lot. I remember I was on a cruise, me and my good friend Ashley, and from on the ship when I looked out, I saw a mixer with sand, cement, and gravel on top of the building where the ship was packed. And I said to him, boss, when I go home, I'm going home with that. I ain't leaving a mixer on the ground anymore. I'm going to carry the mixer on each floor as we go. And that was a big improvement. I remember when I built the apartment building in Lower Estate. That was done in 90 days.
Wow.
90 days. I started that building in August, and in November, people was living in it. 90 days. 15 apartment. Well constructed.
Oh, thank you for sharing that. Janelle, I want to talk about your role. Of course, the hurricanes of Irma and Maria were a very pivotal moment in history for not only residents, but as it pertained to the construction industry as well. In the aftermath, people were building. Tell me about that journey and your role in assisting your dad and the company.
Well, in 2017, I moved back home from Florida in August. The first disaster that we had was the flood, but it was not as bad. So in September, I could remember like yesterday, we were going to turn over Little Dix, and we were going back to Florida, I think on the exact day Irma came. Yes. And that morning, it was like, you know, we're running around. Obviously, the night before, he cast the new laundry mat. He wanted to get the parking lot finished before the hurricane came. So he did not put up the plywood for home. So the morning he got up, he was outside putting up some plywood and all of that. It was like a regular day because we did not expect, obviously, what Irma was going to bring. So our house was destroyed during Irma, and we end up having to go downstairs of the house. And, you know, all of us is waiting for, you know, the time for us to come back out. And as morning break, he started to walk down the hill. So obviously, like I said, wait on me, and I went, I changed, and we walked down the hill. And as he got to his apartments, the first thing he did was check to see if his backhoe and loader was working. And he started to clear the road. At that time, now we went down to the office to see what happened. And I remember walking back up the road because, you know, we didn't have any phones. And I said, Daddy, everything is destroyed. We don't have any checks. We don't have anything. And he got all of his workers to come out and meet us. And he was like, we're going to start to rebuild today. Now, this is the exact day after Irma. So at that time now, he comes to the office and he says, if we want the guys to work, we have to find a way to pay them. But we don't have any checks. So that was when I actually started like becoming an active role in the office.
Gotcha.
So my brother and I decided that, okay, well, you know, we were living in Florida, we get direct deposit. Let's find a way to pay these guys. So we actually had the guys working continuously until, you know, we could have got that set up. And we just started to change the way the office operated, like more to a modern style.
From checks to direct deposit, just like that?
Yeah, direct deposit. Like a few other stuff that we changed.
Okay.
And it was just like, you know, a transition from what he is accustomed to, because with my dad, he's accustomed to one thing, and it was just like, you know, I had to get him convinced, like, okay, Daddy, we understand, you know, you'll have a hiccup in direct deposit, but you want to rebuild. You had these guys working the day after Irma to rebuild, so we have to think of something like, you know, to make sure that they are paid, because regardless, we wasn't going to get our checks in like 3 months. And, you know, you have to give the guys their payment.
Of course.
To view the full interview, you can check out the 284 Media Facebook page. Up next, Kamal Haynes has the details on a highly anticipated government development project. Stay tuned.
Hello?
Wait, you had a long time to get? You say you were sick? What happened to over the rehearsal?
No, babe. I'm actually watching the news right now. Take a listen.
Topping our newscast today, UFOs seen around Tortola Pier Park.
And District 3 residents outraged over no water supply. They simply cannot bathe. These and more stories when 284 News returns.
All right, babe, just get some rest, take 2 Advil, and I'll see you later.
Bye.
Okay, honey. I see you later. I love you.
It's clear to see that Coconut Lounge is a place to be, the coolest cocktail lounge in the British Virgin Islands. A lounge like no other, with welcoming, professional service, and a breathtaking ambiance. Not forgetting a diverse selection of wines, beers, and signature cocktails. Cozy, comfortable, contemporary. Coconut Lounge at Tortola Pier Park. Visit us today. Brilliant Hands and Minds tutoring services, one-on-one tutorials in math and English, intense homework assistance, academic enrichment, school projects, effective communication and public speaking development, sign language for adults and children on Saturdays only. Registered with the Virgin Islands High School Certificate Program, Brilliant Hands and Minds can help you too. Offering intense curriculum-based training to help you or your loved ones get their high school diploma. It's time to make your family's education a #1 priority. Hurry, space is limited. Brilliant Hands and Minds Learning Center. We are the trained education professionals.
Thanks for sticking with us. The Joes Hill Manor Estate development is about 98% complete and will soon be handed over to the Social Security Board. Our Kamal Haynes has the story.
Well, 284 News recently took a trip to the Joes Hill Manor Estate development, which houses 25 buildings and 52 units that will soon be made available to residents once handed over to the Social Security Board. I spoke to the owner of James TODMAN Construction, Mr. TODMAN himself, who revealed that the construction phase of the project was already completed, with 2% of work left to be finished within the coming weeks.
The project right now is at about 98% complete. The remaining is just a few cosmetics, which is normal for any size project as this. Yeah.
And in terms of, this is a very huge project. You're at 98%. I'm sure at the initial stages of the project, there had to be a number of hiccups, that would have basically was not in the initial plans. What are the hiccups you guys would have met, that you guys obviously would have had to overcome to reach this particular stage, that you can speak about, regarding, getting to this where we are presently today?
Well, we the early part of last year we had the COVID. That was a major hiccups, but we still get over it. There's different hiccups, but we reached to this point.
And just speak about the materials and stuff that would have gone into this project. We do know that government usually, when it comes to these projects, likes to be on budget and on time. Are we still on budget and on time when it comes to this particular project?
I'll prefer to answer that a little closer within the 2%.
Within the 2%?
Yeah, I'll prefer to answer it then. I won't answer you on that, no.
Okay.
We still, remember I said 98%, we still got 2% to thing. And you ask a question about hiccups, there's things that I'll prefer not to say until we go through that 2%.
Okay. So what about where we are presently? I'm sure, what's the 2% that have to happen from now for the full completion?
Most of the things that we have to do now is more cleaning, putting in screen, and doing a little touching here and there. Like touching up with paint and those things, a few rods in the closet, maybe a few medicine cabinet, which should be here hopefully next week.
I also spoke to the project manager, Mr. Dion Stout, who said despite the challenges that were met due to the COVID-19 pandemic, his team of professionals were able to have the project almost completed way ahead of their initial December 2023 deadline.
Well, we started this project in June of 2020. If you could all remember, we were locked down in March of 2020, so just a few months after the lockdown. And we're here 18 months later, and we're about substantially completed, meaning within a few weeks we could literally turn over some of these buildings to the Social Security. And we had material hikes, we had the COVID, we had a number of things. We had hurricane season and all those type of things that came about, and we are here less than half the time that we were supposed to be here, because initially we were supposed to take 3.5 years to complete this project, and we're almost there in 18 to 20 months.
Which is great, which means based off my calculations and my mathematics, it means you're way ahead of schedule. I know we just touched on COVID-19. That would have played a huge role in delays, but it also would have played a huge role in price hikes, as you touched on as well. Did that affect the overall budgeting aspect of it to tend to cause you to go closer to reaching the maximum budget you guys had in mind?
Yes. Of course, there were shipping has practically doubled within the last year, material increases, but Mr. TODMAN and his crew are such professionals that they procured a lot of the materials very early in the project. So a lot of the costs that would have added to this project, we were able to curb most of that. I won't say all, but we were able to curb most of that, because obviously with all that happened in the last 2 years, we won't be able to surpass all the different hikes. But Mr. TODMAN's crew was able to curb most of the cost hikes that you see now in the industry.
Well, Mr. Stout also spoke about the resilience of the buildings, stating that they are built to withstand hurricane-forced winds and to last several decades to come.
I'm 100% confident that these homes are well built and they'll withstand inclement weather, whatever may. The windows are already impact resistant. The roofs are properly built. Everything is to grade A standard up here as per all the work that Mr. TODMAN does. In terms of the overall project, there are 25 buildings. There's 13 two-bedroom standalone buildings, meaning there are 13 single two-bedroom homes if persons are interested in two-bedroom homes. There are 3 standalone three-bedroom homes, and then the rest are a mixture of condos, townhouses, etc. There's about 18 two-bedroom condos. There's a townhouse, 2 townhouse buildings that we see over here. Each one has 3 townhouses, 3-bedroom townhouses, meaning living, dining, etc. is on the bottom and the bedrooms are upstairs. So there's 6 of those available. And then there's single one-bedroom condos that are behind us over here as well. There's actually 3 of those buildings with 4 units each, so 12 of those. So there's 52 units available. So 52 families could actually live in this development.
I also had the opportunity to speak to the director of the Social Security Board, Mrs. Jeanette Scatliff-Boynes, who was at the time leading her team in an Arbor Day initiative, planting 7 trees on the property.
What is taking place here today is that the staff of the Social Security Board, over the life of the project, of course, we've been doing the back-end administrative work. The staff wanted to have a hands-on, they wanted to have an active physical role in the property, and we decided that we would plant some trees. So today we are planting some cedar trees. We planted a mango tree earlier. We are also planting some showers of gold. We are planting these trees to have shade. As you can see from this area here, this is a shower of gold. And if you look beyond, you will see the beauty of the BVI. Or what we are imagining and what we would like to see is that this tree would grow into a beautiful tree that would shade a bench, that would provide for space, quiet space, reading space, relaxing space for the residents in this area. So on each of the corners, we are planting a tree.
Reporting for 284 News, I am Kamal Haynes.
Be sure to follow us for daily news updates at 284media.com and like us on Facebook at 284media and 284BVI on Instagram and Twitter. I'm Nia Douglas. I'll see you again as we deliver your daily dose of local, regional, and international content. 284 News, your source for honest and impartial news right here on 284 Media.